In this segment, we're going to explore the sources of innovation. One of the main reasons leaders miss innovation opportunities is they don't know where to look for it. Part of it is just changing your perception, but part of it is paying attention to incongruities or new knowledge that develops. Part of it is looking at the bigger picture, scientific breakthroughs, political upheavals, economic trends, even things like disease or conflicts around the world. What are the things that are possibly going to drive us to do things radically different or to do things better and new? Innovation in itself is seldom the end game. There are reasons that we innovate. We call these value propositions. So we might be innovating to make ourselves more productive. We might be innovating to make our automobile more fun. We might be innovating to make that experience at the coffee shop simpler. Now, all of these value propositions offer us opportunities to innovate that might be around us on a regular basis. So all of these value propositions represent opportunities for us to innovate. Not only are there many sources of innovation and opportunities, there are many places that we can innovate. We can innovate in the way somebody buys our product. We can innovate in the way that somebody uses it. We can innovate in the way in which somebody disposes of our product. So not only are there different sources of innovation, there are different reasons to innovate, and there are different times or places to innovate that all represent unique opportunities for us to become better and new. One of my favorite stories is the story of Stone Soup. It's a children's tale about how three wily soldiers come into a village and they place a large cauldron by the well in the middle of a city. And they place a rock in the middle of the cauldron that's filled with water. And people from the city come around and they say, "What are you doing?" And they say, "We're making sumptuous stone soup." And one villager will say, "Well, I think soup tastes better with carrots." And of course the soldiers say, "Yeah, let's put carrots in the soup." And then somebody will say, "Well, I think it's better with onions, better with cabbage, better with a chicken." And the next thing you know, everybody has contributed little things to the stone soup. And of course, it's a ruse. The soldiers have developed this sumptuous soup by getting everybody to contribute something a little bit differently. Now, why this is an apt metaphor is this is what's happening in the world of innovation. It used to be that innovation happened in R&D centers and only scientists innovate. But in this day and age, collaborative innovation happens beyond the traditional boundaries of organizations, beyond the traditional boundaries of departments, where everybody is contributing to the innovation. Not only are organizations collaborating across boundaries, they're often foregoing their intellectual property rights to create what's called open source innovation, which means anybody can use the innovation as long as they contribute to it and follow a few rules. It seems like it's a new trend, but it's actually a very old trend started by Benjamin Franklin in colonial America. For example, Benjamin Franklin developed the lightning rod. He never patented it because he said some inventions are too important not to share. When we think about this new era of collaborative innovation, we have a lot of different terms for how we share. So we might hear a term like COIN, Collaborative Open Innovation Network. And this might be where seekers and solvers meet in social media on the web to search and reapply ideas. It might be something like crowdfunding, where we put an idea on the web and people we don't even know give us little bits of money to get our idea kickstarted. It might be something like an innovation jam, where hundreds of thousands of people meet on the web at an appointed time to come up with all kinds of ideas on how to solve complex and sometimes seemingly intractable problems. In order to harness these sources of innovation, we need to do a few things. First of all, we have to build systems and hold events so that these people can get together. Second, we need to establish some shared values, a shared culture, a reason for sharing our ideas. And finally, we need to have different kinds of people involved, people who can invest in our ideas, people who can build communities, people who are entrepreneurial, people who work for large municipalities or corporations that can get this to scale. All of this needs to be synced up if we're going to take advantage of the vital sources of innovation available to us. As with any form of innovation, collaborative innovation has an upside and it has a downside. And they're the same upside and downside that we have in all aspects of our life. So for example, if somebody develops something on the web, it doesn't mean that everybody's going to adopt it. There's always going to be that not invented here syndrome. There's always going to be politics in the system. There's always going to be one group of people that are resistant to the ideas of another group of people. Collaborative innovation doesn't change human nature. In order to make collaborative innovation work, we need to make it easy on people. The environment needs to be positive. We need to understand what the customer really wants. We need to make the tools and methods that we're using easy to use. Innovation is simply useful novelty. It's making something better and new. It's simply adding creativity to something that's ordinary to make it extraordinary. By simply adding creativity to ordinary activities, we creativize them. It's a made-up word. The first step is we need high-quality targets. The classic mistake is people make their target too big. They try and boil the ocean and extract gold, or they make it too small. They try and just turn the dial, and they leave no room for real creativity and innovation. The second step is we need deep and diverse domain experts. I'm sorry, innovation is not an amateur sport. If you're trying to build something special, a special medicine, a special device, we need experts, people who really understand what's going on here, but people who don't necessarily agree because they come at it from a different point of view, from a different discipline, from a different logic. We need to take multiple shots on goal. It's not effortless superiority. The first project doesn't work. We're going to have to run a lot of experiments. We're going to have to quickly find out what works and what doesn't work. Every scientist knows this. This is the way we run our experiments. And finally, fourth, we need to get smarter. We need to learn from our experiences and our experiments. What worked? What doesn't work? What simple rules can we define? What adjustments do we need to make? Innovation does not happen in a straight line. It happens in cycles, and we need to think in terms of cycles. I want you to imagine that you're hiking up a mountain and you're making a long pass around the base of the mountain. You really don't see very much, and it's kind of a difficult journey at the beginning. But the second time you're at a much higher elevation, you see much longer vistas. You have a much better idea of where you're at. And by the time you're on your third pass, you're very close to the summit and very close to being successful. So don't expect to get everything right the first time. Give yourself a cycle or two to learn along the way. Innovation is a highly iterative process. So let's practice some prismatic thinking. What sources of innovation will you need to include? How will you keep these sources of innovation synced up, on track? What is the preferred work environment for your innovation initiative? The first step of the Creativize process is to set high-quality targets. You have to make sure they're not too big. You're not trying to boil the ocean